Welcome to Creepy Night, where shadows whisper and nightmares come alive. Beware as we delve into the unknown, because tonight, the darkness is watching. They say the worst thing a trucker can feel out on the road isn't exhaustion, not loneliness, not even fear. No, it's the feeling that something's watching you. That unblinking, silent gaze that doesn't go away, even when you pull the curtain closed. I used to think all that talk was just CB chatter. Stories truckers told to kill time and stay awake on overnight runs. But that was before the night I parked at the Purdue chicken plant off an old country road in Selma, North Carolina. The evening was uneventful, exactly how I liked it. Sun going down behind a wall of pine trees, crickets starting to chirp, the dusty gravel lot wide open for parking. I had just dropped my load and decided to bunk in right there. It wasn't a big facility, maybe 3 loading bays, a tiny office trailer, and a murky pond sitting at the far end of the lot. The pond shimmered under a single flickering pole light, looking more like a puddle of oil than water. I backed my rig in close to the trees, but far enough from the pond, or so I thought. The air was humid and still, and the lot was strangely quiet for an active poultry plant. I could hear machinery humming inside, but outside there was nothing. Not even the occasional thump of a reefer unit or a distant bark of a stray dog. It was the kind of quiet that settles into your bones. I made some instant noodles on my hot plate, propped my feet up, and watched a half-downloaded episode of some true crime show. The usual. I was dead tired, and after double-checking the doors were locked, I pulled the blackout curtain shut and stretched out in the bunk. Everything felt normal, just another night in the life. Then came the tap, software barely there, just one, like the tip of a fingernail flicking against glass. At first I didn't move, figured it was a moth or a bug bouncing against the window. Happens all the time. I closed my eyes again. Then another. Tap tap. This time on the passenger side window. Still faint, but enough to pull me upright. I reached for the curtain slowly and peeked out through a tiny gap. My eyes adjusted to the pale yellow light from the pole lamp. Nothing out there. Just the pond, still as glass. The trees didn't move, not even a sway. No wind, no raccoons or curious animals. I sat there for a good minute, waiting for something, anything to explain what I'd heard. Nothing came. With a deep breath, I let the curtain fall back and eased into bed again. Told myself it was probably a bird, or maybe a branch from the pines tapping in the wind. That's when I heard it again. But this time, it was different. A slow, deliberate tap. But on the driver's side. Closer, louder, right by my head. I sat straight up, heart pounding so hard I could hear the blood in my ears. That wasn't a branch. That wasn't a bug. That wasn't something random. That was someone, or something, tapping. I flicked on my flashlight and peeled the curtain back, this time fully. And just like before, nothing. The driver's side mirror reflected the pond. Same as before. But now it didn't look peaceful. It looked watching. Like it was waiting for something, or someone. The hairs on the back of my neck stood straight. I scanned the lot again. Nothing moved. But I noticed something strange. The pond. Before it had just been water. Now, mist hovered over it. A thin layer, like fog, rolling gently even though the air was dead still. Then came the smell. Wet soil. Metal. Something rotten. I slammed the curtain shut and locked the doors again. Double-checked them this time. Grabbed my flashlight and stayed upright in the seat. I didn't lay back down. Not anymore. I watched that mirror like it was a TV screen. Eyes straining for movement, for a shape, anything. By 4 a.m., I started hearing breathing from outside. Not loud, but wet, like someone gasping, dragging in damp air through a collapsed throat. I held my breath and leaned toward the glass. Then I saw them. 2 faint lights, eyes, low to the ground, just above the pond, glowing faintly like a cat's eyes in a headlight beam. Except no cat's eyes are spaced that wide, and they didn't blink, they just stared at me. And I knew, whoever or whatever was there. It knew I was watching back. I froze. Then slowly the fog started to thicken, rolling toward the truck, like it was moving under its own will. I couldn't look away, couldn't move. The eyes didn't get closer. They just waited. I stayed that way for what felt like hours. But as the first streaks of dawn started painting the horizon, the fog started to draw back, like someone pulling a blanket off the pond. The eyes were gone. But the feeling, that cold, rotten presence, it lingered. I drove away without checking my logbook. Didn't grab coffee. Didn't even stop for fuel until I hit the next county. I just wanted distance. At a highway diner a few hours later, I finally started to process it. I was shaking as I sat at the counter, staring into a cup of lukewarm coffee. The waitress asked me what was wrong. I laughed nervously and told her I'd parked at the Purdue plant for the night. She went pale. "You didn't stay near the pond, did you?" I said, "Yeah." She glanced at the cook behind the counter. He stepped out from the kitchen, a grizzled old man with deep eyes and trucker tattoos faded from years of sun. "You hear it tap?" he asked. I didn't say anything, just stared at him. He nodded slowly. They all do, before it tries to come in. I asked him what he meant, and that's when he told me about the missing driver. Happened back in the late 90s. A young guy, solo hauler, parked for the night by the same pond. Never seen again. The only thing they found, his rig, door wide open, keys still in the ignition, driver's seat soaking wet, like someone had climbed in dripping. Since then, they say, truckers hear tapping on their windows. But no one's ever seen who does it. Or if they have, they don't talk about it. I tried to laugh it off, tried to convince myself it was all folklore. But that night stayed with me. So I dug deeper, found message boards, CB forums, Reddit threads. One driver claimed he woke up to muddy handprints smeared across his windshield. Another said his CB crackled with static all night, until it whispered his name. But the worst story, a woman driving overnight, said she parked by that same pond, woke up in the middle of the night and saw a face reflected in her side mirror, gray, bloated, eyes open wide, mouth gasping, soaked. When she turned to look directly, it was gone, but her door handle was wet. That's when I decided I needed answers. I went back, 2 weeks later, same spot, same pond, same eerie stillness. I told myself it was a test, to prove it was all in my head. I parked, shut everything down, no curtain this time. I waited, 12:30 a.m., nothing, 2:45 a.m., still quiet, 3:03 a.m., tap, on the windshield, dead center. I lunged forward. No one there, but there, on the glass, was a smudge, a handprint, long fingers, dripping. The print started to slide, slowly, down the windshield, like someone had leaned in and whispered through the glass. I flicked on the headlights. At the edge of the pond, something moved, not walked, crawled. A figure, slumped, sagging, dragging itself back into the water. I didn't even throw the truck in reverse. I drove straight over the grass, didn't care about the gravel, didn't care if I got sighted. I just had to get out of there. And now, even months later, sometimes when I'm parked alone off a rest stop or beside a creek, and the night goes real still, I hear it again, tap, tap, just soft enough to wonder if it was real. And I remember what the cook told me. It wants in, it don't knock. It taps. So next time you find yourself on a late-night run, needing a place to park, avoid the Purdue plant by the pond in Selma. And if you don't open the door, no matter what you hear. Because some legends, they're not legends at all. Some just keep tapping until someone finally lets them in. It was just past midnight when I first saw him. The highway stretched endlessly before me, a two-lane snake winding through the Nevada desert, pitch black except for the occasional flicker of moonlight bouncing off road signs and the hum of my headlights cutting through the night. I was hauling refrigerated freight from Reno to Phoenix, a long haul through lonely land. I'd driven that route a dozen times, knew every diner and every dead zone. But something about that night felt off, the kind of silence that pushes in on your eardrums. A stillness too heavy, like even the crickets had gone quiet. The cab was warm from the heater, the dashboard lights giving off a soft orange glow. I sipped my coffee, burnt, bitter, typical truck stop junk, but enough to keep me awake. Or at least it should have. My eyes were getting heavy. That stretch of highway can do that to you. Hypnotic, like it's wrapping you up in a blanket of blacktop and lullabies. That's when I saw the figure, up ahead, standing perfectly still on the shoulder. A man, no flashlight, no bag, just standing. I slowed instinctively. Maybe it was habit. Maybe the quiet made me crave a voice other than my own. The guy looked like he'd been walking for hours, thin, ragged clothes flapping in the slight breeze, his face shrouded in darkness. I squinted through the windshield, heart thudding harder than it should have been. "Hey!" I called through the cracked passenger side window. "You all right?" He didn't move, didn't even flinch. I reached over and popped the door open. The interior light spilled onto the roadside dirt. But he was gone. Gone, just like that. No footsteps, no rustle, no sound. I froze for a second, hands still on the door handle. My brain tried to explain it. Maybe he stepped into the shadows. Maybe I imagined him. Long hauls mess with your head sometimes. But something deep in my gut whispered otherwise. I shut the door, locked it, hit the gas, and kept driving. But exactly 1 mile later, I saw him again. Same guy, same spot, same stillness. His head was turned toward the road this time, like he was watching me. I didn't stop, just clenched the wheel and kept moving. But I swear, I felt eyes on me. Not just his, more of them. Watching from the side of the road, from the brush, from the trees that weren't even supposed to be there. That's when I started hearing the whispers. Not through the speakers, inside the cab. Soft at first, like wind, then words. Mile marker 73. My blood turned cold. I flicked off the radio, checked my phone. No signal. My skin was crawling, heart racing. I hadn't seen another car for over an hour, just desert and dark. Still trying to brush it off, I pulled into a rest stop up ahead. Figured I needed a break, a splash of water on the face, maybe some fresh air. The place was dead empty. Just one busted vending machine humming in the corner and a single flickering light above the restroom sign. I stepped out. That's when I noticed something scratched into the side of my trailer. Barely visible under the dim light. A single sentence etched like it had been clawed in. Don't stop at 73. I stepped back, heart pounding. That wasn't there before. I'd walked around the trailer during my pre-trip inspection hours earlier. I scanned the lot. No one. Then I heard it again, only this time, louder. Don't stop at 73, coming from the CB radio inside the cab. Only problem was, I hadn't used the CB all night. The mic was still clipped in place. The channel was set to 19, like always. But that voice, raspy, broken, it came through clear as day. I jumped back in the truck and locked the doors. I should have turned around. should have headed back toward civilization. But I didn't. I kept driving. Couldn't tell if it was curiosity or if something else was pushing me forward. That night, I started asking around on the trucker forums and CB channels. Nothing official, just whispers, rumors. Old-timers talked about a stretch of road where weird things happened, always between mile markers 70 and 75. Drivers who went missing, reports of a man seen walking alone night after night. They called him the Watcher. Nobody knew who he was. Some said he was a drifter who died in the 80s. Others believed he wasn't even human, just something that looks like a man. But here's where it got worse. I found a guy named Dutch who'd been driving that route for 30 years. He told me straight, if you see him 3 times, don't stop the 4th. Ever. I laughed nervously. He didn't. Dutch said those who stopped the 4th time weren't heard from again. And suddenly, I couldn't remember if I'd stopped once or twice. Had I pulled over that first time? What if I slowed down again when I thought I saw him near the diner exit? My memory got hazy, like something was taking pieces of it. I avoided the route for a few months, took shorter gigs, changed schedules. But then, one night, I got a call for a last-minute run. Good money, no one else available. Route ran through Nevada. You can guess where. I told myself I'd skip mile 73. Ignore anything I saw. Don't look, don't listen. But fate, it doesn't work like that. At exactly midnight, I passed mile marker 71, then 72. My knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. And then, mile 73. He was there, but not just him. There were others, dozens, maybe more. Lining both sides of the road, silent, motionless, like scarecrows carved out of nightmares. They didn't move. They didn't blink. They just stared. Then I saw him again. The original one, standing right in the center of the road. I slammed the brakes. The truck skidded and groaned. I clutched the wheel, expecting to hit something. But when I looked up, the road was empty, cab silent. My breath fogging up the windshield. Then came the knock. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on the passenger side window. I turned my head, heart caught in my throat. No one there, but on the glass, a wet handprint. I hit the gas and didn't stop until I saw city lights. That night changed everything, because after that, things followed me. Not just on that road, not just on that route, everywhere. Reflections in glass that don't match what's in front of me. Voices through the CB, whispering my name, waking up in the sleeper cab with dirt on the floor and desert sand in my shoes. One morning, I checked my dash cam footage. It was static, except for one frame. One single frozen frame, showing the inside of my cab, and him, sitting in the passenger seat, looking straight at the lens, smiling. I don't drive long haul anymore. Switch to local deliveries, safer, familiar roads, people. But sometimes, when the sun dips low and the road gets quiet, I swear I feel him there again. Watching, waiting, and I never ever drive past mile marker 73. And if you ever do, remember this: don't stop for strangers, don't listen to the whispers, and never, under any circumstance, open your door